So I'm super excited to have a very special guest back on the podcast today, Wade Lightheart. He came on last year and shared a story and some incredible details and information and insights and education about all the incredible products that he has created in his business. And I'm so excited to welcome you back to the show today. Welcome.
Amber, always a slice, and we just don't seem to connect as much as I'd love to because we share a lot of common perceptions and perspectives and mission statements. I think we're kind of on the same mission.
Agreed. Yes. And it's so great to have you again. And I'm super excited for today's conversation around magnesium and make the magnesium breakthrough because most of my clients are on magnesium. I take it, and it's particularly the one that we'll be talking about today. And it just has so many benefits. And I honestly, tell me if you agree with this, but I feel like it's not given enough credit. Like it's so significant, but I feel like it's kind of like put in the corner. I want you to just kind of share with me like why this was like such a important product for you to make, and maybe a bit more into why the breakthrough is so different than what you'll find anywhere else.
Well, stressful times calls for calm people. And what happened, and we have to go back 80 years ago when we moved into kind of industrialized, commercialized farming and the use of fertilizers and chemicals and agents and stuff. And we entered into a state of mega depletion of magnesium. Concordantly, we added to the enrichment of foods that were stripped away from everything, and they would add, say, calcium to it and call it enriched or call it, up. And so calcium and magnesium exist in a 2-to-1 ratio. And in North America, we have disproportionately high diets in calcium and disproportionately low diets in magnesium. And we've heard this calcium for bones and all this sort of stuff. But the reality is, magnesium is the control mineral. It's involved in over 600 processes inside the body, and we're blatantly deficient in it. And this is not me stating, this is, health practitioners, NIH, all of these kind of respected bodies of education, health, and nutrition have illustrated that we're deficient just in basic functioning, let alone, optimization. Let's fast forward to a great advocate in the high performance world, Dr. Charles Poliquin, and he trained gold medalists in 27 different Olympic sports, as well as the who's who of professional sports. And what he found is that magnesium was uptaken, different types of magnesium were taken up by different parts of the body. And it was essential that he would supplement his athletes with extra magnesium because how they were pushing themselves. And this would bring them back into, out of fight or flight into rest and relax. And that allowed them to train often more frequently and maintain without burnout, because that's a big thing with high performance. Now we have a third aspect that's happening in the world, and that is the rapid technological advancement of society. And that results in tremendous amounts of electromagnetic pollution that's putting a stress on the nervous system right on a cellular level about how liquids flow in and out of the cell and waste materials and our relaxation response and our muscles and things like that. But also staring into blue light, modern light technology changes our circadian rhythm, which also puts us on a stress response. And the more stressed that you become, or the more stimulated that you become, we're very stimulated compared to our ancestors, you actually burn more magnesium, which is ironic. So as essential as magnesium was in human function, decades before, in a technologically advanced stage, it is perhaps the most critical element that we require from our diets. And it's very hard to get this from our food. I will say quickly, you can never supplement your way out of a bad diet. So foods that are rich in magnesium are dark chocolate, avocados, nuts, seeds, bananas, leafy greens, tofu, legumes. These are the typical sources, providing your digestive system is good and you can absorb that. Most people just can't eat sufficient amounts or sufficient frequency to supply their levels. And that's why we augmented and developed the first full spectrum magnesium breakthrough, kind of we looked at how do we address all of the different magnesium deficiencies and address all the benefits of the different types of magnesium in the body so we could get the maximum effective dosage per capsule. And I think we've done it with magnesium breakthrough.
I love it. And it is a great product. I mean, I'm not just saying it because I'm biased. Like, I really could tell a difference in prior magnesiums that I were taking. Obviously, this one's formulated very differently, which I want to get into right away. But the groundedness that I feel from it is very different, probably likely based off of all the different strains in there. And just like when you're in tune with your body and you take a really good supplement and you're already nourishing yourself, et cetera, like you can feel not just a physical shift, but there's a mental, emotional, you feel the nervous system calming, and even energetically, like it's just hard to put like it into words because it's just this feeling of like, I just feel more connected to like my soul and like my channel because I'm in this state of groundedness and I'm getting these minerals that are assisting me as we go through all the stuff in the world too. Like there's a whole conversation we could have about ascension and minerals and magnesium and why that's so important. But why don't you get into like, the different, I don't know if you call them strains or the different like kinds of magnesium that you have in there and why this is so different?
Yeah. So I'll give you some common ones and then some uncommon ones first. So citrate is one of the more common ones. We only use a little bit of it. It's the one that's most commonly associated with magnesium use for people who are constipated. It draws water into the intestines. But you should also, it's used for acid indigestion. So we have a little bit of that, but not too much, because this is what limits people from having a big dosage. If you have too much citrate, you just can't get the levels that are going to, rapidly repair or fill up your deficiencies. We also have magnesium bisglycinate. This has been known and shown to be effective for things like decreasing blood pressure. It's a vasodilator. It's related to blood sugar management and type 2 diabetes, also osteoporosis, migraine headache. So this is really good for vasodilation. And what's interesting is if you look at the NIH papers, you can Google magnesium and NIH together, and you will find that how magnesium is oftentimes used for helping rebuild serotonin levels in the body, because magnesium is a critical aspect of the production of it. And antidepressants are used to release serotonin. I'm not saying it treats that, but a lot of people who are suffering from that, which is about 15% of the population, will find that magnesium supplementation makes their life much better. Magnesium malate, which is this is used for energy production. So many of us know our company from enzymatic reactions and stuff like that. And magnesium is a critical element in enzymatic transmissions. And so people who have trouble with energy, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, these type of things, or heavy metal toxicity, which often go part and parcel with those, find that magnesium malate, and the research has been very helpful for that. We also have one of my favorites, magnesium taurate. Maybe because I was born in May, I don't know. This is the one that has been shown to be very helpful for heart function. A lot of athletes get irregular heartbeats because of mineral depletion. So they're super fit, but their heart starts to go bonkers. Also, people with advanced stages of diabetics often need pacemakers and stuff. A lot of that's electrolyte imbalances, and magnesium is helpful for that. Again, with migraines. But taurate is good for overall function and memory. It's kind of acts similar to GABA, and so people who like GABA, and that goes down to brain dominance. So neurochemical dominance. We have another company called Newtopia, which I could go into all the brain dominance. So that's really great. Really find that the taurate is one of the better products for that. And taurate also for ladies who suffer from, painful premenstrual syndrome. Have found that this particular form of magnesium taurate is often very helpful for that. Let's get into another one of the magnesiums we have in there, which is orotate. Now, orotate has a lot of research behind it, particularly around its availability around DNA and RNA repair. It's used in that ATP transfer. This is the one that's very common for athletic performance, nerve function, muscle function, heart, vasomotor control and tone, and immune system, bone integrity, all those. This one is really great for that. Then there's magnesium aspartate. And this one is, again, for neuromuscular connections. So as a bodybuilder, we used to get dehydrated in contests. And if people are cramping, you give them magnesium, and oftentimes that would resolve on that. And it's also good for acid alkaline balance in the body if people have trouble regulating that. And then we get into one of my favorites, which has just been added to the formula, which is magnesium sucrosomial, which is a lipid base. And it has been shown much better to be uptaken and carried. We actually already add humic and fulvic acid, B6, and manganese to this because we're always very, realize it's not enough just to take the product. You got to be able to deliver the product to the body. So we're always looking at optimizing that. And so we've added sucrosomial inside of that with the humic, fulvic, vitamin B6, and manganese. And that way we get more magnesium per capsule. And that's why so many people will take a couple capsules before bed or something like that. And they'll know a definitive effect, or if they're a little too clocked up from too much caffeine or stimulants or whatever, it's great. We also found that taking it over a period of time, like to take divided dosages throughout the day, is the best way to get all the magnesium benefits.
That's amazing. And I love all of these different components. And it really is just something like personally, I think everyone should take it. Don't you? Like, I just think it benefits everyone in one way or another.
I have, of all the products that we have advocated in my 20 years, 19 years working with Bioptimizers, it's probably the one that has the most common and definitive response in people. It's just like, wow, I sleep better. I don't feel anxious like I used to. I don't feel overstimulated from stimulants. And I love this product. That's the most common element. So it's become one of our best sellers. And I think it's because of the design, nature, and the level of deficiency that people are experiencing. So that's concordant. So I think, is it for everybody? No, but is it for most people? Yes.
Yeah. Who would it not be for? I'm curious.
There is, anytime that you produce a product, you always see a bell curve of distribution of response. And so it's possible that someone may have an adverse reaction to one of the manganese that might not work for them. It might be if they are suffering from other conditions, and particularly if they're a nicotine user and deal with a lot of vasoconstriction, and then they start taking magnesium, they might open up the blood flow relatively quickly and then feel kind of nauseous or get a headache for a day or two, because all of a sudden you've vasodilated, because one of the negative aspects of nicotine is vasoconstriction. So if you are a nicotine user, I would suggest being mindful of your dosage to start, because you usually get that opening up, and usually that'll go away with a little bit of time. But if you go off and pop 3-4 capsules right away, you might go, whoa, I got a head rush. It's like, so I have seen a few of those responses, and just always like to give both sides of the equation to people.
That's so good to know. And so I know earlier you were saying that best results is taking it throughout the day. Would you suggest like people start with 1 or 2, or what would be like an optimal?
Yeah. So when I burned myself out, this is why we developed this, being a crazy entrepreneur as I am, we looked at the research and with what Charles Poliquin would suggest, as well as what's suggested in orthomolecular nutrition. And with magnesium, you always have what's called a tolerance level, that you can take so much and you'll break the GI barrier. So you want to take as much that you can absorb without wasting it into the toilet. And so what we found is if that you took it like, a half gram in the morning, a half gram in the afternoon, a half gram in the evening, that you could take that was easy way to get 1.5 grams. Now, if you want to get a loading phase to really get the benefits quickly, particularly if you're suffering from, anxiety kind of related stuff, or overstim, or having trouble sleeping, I would say start at that and then add 1 capsule per the first couple servings. So you're doing, 750 milligrams, and then a half, and then either add an extra dosage a day or add 1 capsule per dosage until you break the GI barrier. And that means you get the runs. And when you do that, you want to titrate down about a half gram. stay at that level till you get the runs again, which will probably be 2, 3, 4 weeks away, and then titrate out again. And then you continue to do that. And then you'll find your maintenance level. And your maintenance level will be maybe anywhere from a half gram to 1.5 grams a day. I personally use 1.5 grams. I'm in EMF Los Angeles. I'm on my computer all day long. I'm subjected to a lot of pollution, and I work out like I'm fiend every day. So all of that puts me under load. And, I went from 5 grams down to 1.5. And that was a 6-month journey for me.
Yeah. So it's great. It's just so people know, like, yeah, tune into your body and see what feels good. I know it's something that, especially if it's new, it's always good to ease into it, right? And know that yes, the loose stools could happen if the body reaches that point, and there's nothing wrong, just pulling back.
Right.
You mentioned, so I know you mentioned a lot of like support that this is good for, and you just mentioned the anxiety and if you're not sleeping well. Is there anything else specifically like that you're really noticing people reaching for this product for that you haven't already acknowledged?
What's interesting is there's some interesting, we have another product, two different areas. Blood sugar regulation. And I would advise people to get a functional medicine doctor, run some tests, look at a SpectraCell test and look at a gut map. And oftentimes people that have dysregulation in blood sugar will have several different areas that they don't manage. One, amylase enzymes. 2, they have a dysbiosis in the bacteria in their body, so they're not breaking down their food properly, or they have bad bacteria which are creating neurochemical components. So those are 2 areas that we see magnesium helpful for. And you can use either a blood sugar product with it or magnesium in combination. And then sometimes if you're having cognitive health issues or dysregulation neurologically, using a product like Cognibiotics or leaky gut, depending on your gut map, will assist. So they work symbiotically with enzymes and they work symbiotically with different types of bacteria. And so it's interesting to see the relation between gut health and enzymatic process and mineral absorption, because you need enzymes to get your minerals to get your vitamins, right? To get your proteins, or excuse me, proteins to get your minerals to get your vitamins. Yeah. So that has an enzymatic pathway.
Yeah, everything is so connected. And I think that is one of the most important messages to keep saying over and over again, because then people understand the significance of why this is important. Yeah. And do people take it like with food on its own?
Yeah, you can take it with food, or at nighttime though, before bed, we find that it's better on an empty stomach. And the reason being is most of the data on sleep research shows that food before you go to bed usually disrupts deep sleep. And so that's the one place that I would take it. There is a small percentage of the population which needs a little bit of carbohydrate before they go to bed to knock them out. And you'd have to just, use your data devices to kind of determine which one category are and experiment.
Right. I love that. Is there anything else you want to share about this particular product, or anything else that's just like you want to share with the audience?
Yeah, these are crazy times. And there's a couple things that I really would encourage, because we're seeing a lot of social media anxiety. We were talking about it before, restrictions, and then also getting really caught up in the world. And this puts a major drain on your minerals, your requirements, your microbiome, and all that sort of stuff. And so if you find that you're getting overstimulated or like really worried about the state of affairs of the world, take a social media break for 48 hours. Go within, relax, get out, get your feet on the ground. Maybe take some extra magnesium, but be mindful that usually there's a relationship between your gut biosis, because anxiety will disrupt your microbiome, and getting the right bacteria cultures in your body, the right mineralization, and being mindful of how much you're online versus how much you're in the real world is a recipe for a happier, healthier person.
Couldn't agree more. Setting boundaries with that stuff is so important. Yes. Thank you for sharing that. Is there anything else you would like to share before we wrap this up today? Because I think people are going to be eager to go and grab some of this magnesium breakthrough.
Yeah, here's the thing. We have a 100% money back guarantee on all of our products. We'll even include the shipping if it doesn't blow you away. We have a great course called the Awesome Health course where I explain my whole philosophy on how to be first principles. We don't even get into supplements to level 5 in the program. We talk about the most important things. Get that downloaded. It's on the app. So you can watch 5 to 15-minute videos. And that's 30 years of my work to kind of get the best practices. And then if you like all that stuff and you really enjoy magnesium, I would encourage you to check out our other company, which is Newtopia, our cognitive enhancement program we've developed with a neurochemist. It's absolutely mind-boggling. It's super powerful. It will change your capability for creativity, focus, social and verbal fluency. This all comes down to neurochemistry. And oftentimes, if you're suffering from any one of these things, you can correct it with the right enzymes, the right minerals, the right probiotics, or the right combination of nootropics. And that is where we're heading today in this world. We've really cracked some codes, and it's really exciting to offer that to the public.
That is so amazing. I'm definitely going to have to check that out. So where can people find you? You have an app, we're online, social media, podcast.
Yeah. So, Bioptimizers, Instagram, our app, all that sort of stuff, the website, that's where you can go and download it. You can go to Bioptimizers on the App Store or Newtopia, any one of those, and you'll find us over there. And of course, you can get a copy of our blueprint for biological optimization from sick to superhuman. That if you go to our site, we'll get you one of those too, because it's kind of like, it's not enough just to randomly shotgun thing. It's like, how do you systematically go at this? And like I said, you can't supplement your way out of a bad diet or bad lifestyle. So I like to spend a lot of time on educating people to make the best choices for themselves, and then target whatever supplement they might be deficient in.
I love that. And it is, we got to address the root issues, and I'll make sure everything's in the show notes and easy for everyone to access. And again, I'm so grateful for this conversation today. You're an incredible wealth of knowledge. I'm so grateful for the products that you guys have been producing, because we need this. We need good, honest people creating good, honest products. So thank you again for being on the show.
Hey, my pleasure. Thank you so much.